Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited you're here with me. You know me, I'm Cindy, and I'm delighted to be joined by Gwen today for another story in our Women's Empowerment series. Welcome, Gwen. I'm so happy you're here with me today.
Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it is absolutely my pleasure. So you have a pretty cool story, right? I'll let you tell everybody how, where you started and then where you were and then where you are right now. So why don't you tell everybody your story?
Sure. I started out in consumer packaged goods. I worked in with different retailers and working in that industry. And I decided after years of being in the industry that my husband and I wanted to stay at home and raise a family. So after years of working in the corporate world, I stepped back and allowed my husband to continue with his career. And I stayed home and raised the children. And it was quite a few years that I was home with the children. And during that time, I decided that I wanted to still be involved. I knew it wasn't going to be in corporate America. So I took on volunteer roles at my children's schools, helping out PTA, helping out the church in leadership roles such as that. And so after being away for over 15 years in corporate world, I decided to go back to working, but I worked more in the education field because it was more convenient with my children's schedule. And so working there, just working as a teacher assistant, I did that for a while and decided that I was ready to go back into corporate America because my children were a little bit older and more independent. And so that's how I reached out to Cindy's. I watched her videos. I saw the YouTube videos. I saw her Facebook page. I followed along with her for a while before I actually reached out to her. And I'm so glad I did because now I'm back in corporate America.
Me too, right? And I remember you reached out to me and we had that free discovery call and you actually said to me, yeah, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this on my own. And then it was like a bunch of months later and you contacted me again. What happened? What was that? What was that change, that pivotal moment?
Well, I looked at my resume and I just didn't know how to piece it all together. After watching your YouTube videos and following you on Facebook and Instagram, I started looking at my resume and I was like, I'm not sure how to put this together. And I was always under the impression that you just have one standard resume and you just send it out to every job. So when I was looking at it, I didn't even try to figure it out on my own. I just started thinking about the things that you were saying in your videos. And I said, I need some help. So that's when I reached back out and said, this can only help me. It can't hurt me. It can only help me. And that's when I realized from you how to tailor your resume for each job that you're looking at and how they give you clues when they say the responsibilities of the job. I never looked at it like that before. I would just look at it like, okay, here's the job I'm applying for. Here's my resume. And I will just take the standard resume and apply. But I knew after listening to you and looking at what I had, I wasn't sure where to begin. And I knew I needed someone that could really understand me because I reached out to other career coaches before you, Cindy, and I knew I wasn't being heard because I would tell them, okay, this is what I would like to do and send my resume. But then the feedback I got was totally off course of what I even said. But I felt like you were the first career coach to actually listen to me and what I was trying to do. And you worked with me from there. And you didn't look at my resume and say, well, this is what I think you should do. You looked at my resume and you would ask me, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you're looking for? And that's what I really appreciated because you actually listened to what I wanted to do and not what you thought I should do.
Thank you. That's like the best compliment anyone could say, right? That you listened to me, you heard me.
Yes.
And I know I heard you as we were going through, right? I remember there was, as anybody, like making that pivot from assistant teacher to go back to the corporate world. There were doubts and insecurities. And I know that I was pretty direct. We had some pretty forceful text messages going back and forth, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I can look back on it and laugh now, but I remember, yes, because I remember there was a position I was going to apply for. And I told you after looking at the responsibilities and looking at their website that I knew I didn't think that was a good fit for me. And then you basically told me, I was letting fear, get in my way. And I knew I was, because I was already counting myself out of, the candidates that could go further with the interview process before I even applied. So yes, you were very direct with me. And actually that's what I needed. I needed to hear that, just directness, because I knew if I didn't, then I would keep talking myself out of actually applying. Because I remember you would give me goals with each of our sessions, and that's what helped me stay on track. Because if I didn't have goals, I probably would keep just talking myself out of applying for anything. But you had goals. You told me to have goals, and we did. And you followed up with those goals with each session. So I knew I had to make sure that I stayed on track and did what I was supposed to do. Because if I was sitting there by myself trying to do this on my own, I would not have applied for any job. But the fact that I was even able to have that choice, I never thought that would even be an option. When I first started out looking at my resume saying I want to go back to corporate, but I don't even know how to get this resume together. I didn't even think I would have a choice, because in my mind, I felt like with each interview, if I started when I started the process before you, Cindy, I thought, okay, I have to go to these interviews, hoping I get the job, kind of like this, please, please, please hire me, if that makes
Begging,
sense.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
almost begging, right?
Yeah. But when I started working with you, and you were like, no, you have the power. This is what you've done. This is what you're doing. This is what you've had in the past. You need to let them know. And I remember you even talked about how if you can't see yourself in that position, if you're not being respected during your interview, then that's not, the position for you. And that's one thing I kept thinking about too during the interview process, or just talking to people initially, to make sure that I did feel respected, to make sure that I did feel like this was a good fit for me. But before you, I never even thought about that as an option. I just felt like I had to get out there and kind of like you said, beg, please, please hire me. But I realized I didn't have to do that, because working with you gave me the confidence to know, okay, I have something to contribute, and I want to see what you can help me do coming into this position. I don't want it just to be where I just have to, beg you for a job. We know it's for both of us. We both need to see if this is a good fit. But I never really looked at it like that before.
I love that. Such an incredible mindset shift, right? To
Yeah,
realize that you have something to offer them, that it's not just what can you do for me, but wait a
right.
minute, I'm valuable, right?
Yeah,
I'm valuable. I have skills, I have accomplishments. And when I join your company, I'm going to actually add value to your company and make you more profitable. So this is why
exactly.
you should hire me.
Exactly.
What does it feel like? How does it feel to have left, working as an assistant teacher and to be back in a corporate, you're kind of in a project management type of role.
Mm.
What does it feel like to be in that type of position now?
I enjoy it. It was scary, of course, just leaving. I mean, when I left, being a teacher assistant and going back to corporate, it was scary. I was nervous, but it felt great. It wasn't, I didn't feel like, oh gosh, should I be doing this? I felt like this is what I should be doing at this stage of my life. And yes, I was scared, but I think it was kind of like how, I tell my children, do it afraid, that's, we're not going to always be totally, 100% confident and make that step, but it's okay to do things afraid. So but it felt great. It really did.
And your whole family's proud of you?
Yes, yes.
So I know that you actually talked a lot about what it was like when we worked together.
Mhm,
What was really impactful that you didn't notice? I know before our session we were
mhm.
talking off camera about how it helped you add volunteer work to your
Yeah,
resume, right? So other
yeah.
things, what else, what was very impactful about working together?
The volunteer work, I never saw that as being something that I could put on my resume that would be anything worth looking at. But the way when you presented it to me and you were like, but these are leadership roles, this is what you did. You didn't get paid for it, but it's something that they look at favorably when you're interviewing. And I didn't look at it like that before, because actually I wasn't even going to put it on my resume, because I'm like, well, it was just volunteer work. But you helped me to see that it wasn't just volunteer work, it was important work I just didn't get paid for.
I'm always
Another
telling
thing
everyone to get rid of that just and the only, right?
exactly. Yeah. And that's what I had to stop saying too. And I realized working with you, I took that out my vocabulary. But one thing I liked too was that you would send encouraging text messages during our time of working together, like you're a warrior, you can do this, take on the day. And I was like, yeah, I am a warrior. I can do this, So it was nice to have that personal coach, to say, hey, good morning, make it a great day, or just letting you know that you've got this, you can do this. That was really nice. It was really good.
Thank you. Because it could be tough, right? I mean,
Oh my
listen,
goodness.
the job search can be tough, but look at what you did in literally such a short period of time.
Yeah, and that's what it was so interesting. I remember I told my husband, I said, I didn't know it was going to happen this fast. I thought, I knew it was going to happen, but I just didn't know it was going to happen this fast. And so when you and I were talking, and I remember you told me, you said, I think you're going to get I think you're going to get a job offer. I think it's going to happen. And when I was like, oh, well, Cindy said this, I know since from experience, she knows how this is going to work. And I mean, and I did. And like with the other company, I came back and told them, well, I'm going to accept another position. But that was the funny thing, though, that I just didn't expect it all to happen so quickly, which I'm glad it did. So I just
It was
didn't
it was
know.
so fast and furious. You were
Yeah.
interviewing, I mean, 4 interviews for one, 6 interviews for the other. There were
Hmm.
10 interviews going on during a period of just a couple of weeks. It was just boom, boom,
Exactly.
boom, boom.
Hmm.
It was pretty intense,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But you were confident and well practiced and well rehearsed, and
Yeah. The modules really help. They made a big difference. They really do. Just from the interviewing questions, and I mean, and I used your tips on asking questions, and with each interview when I would use those questions, they were like, those are really good questions that you're asking. So, and I knew, and I truly felt like they meant that. It wasn't like just a remark just to say something, but I could tell they really felt like those were good questions, because when I asked, it helped them to really pause and think, because I felt like maybe those questions hadn't been asked of them before. In each interview, that's what always, when I ask the questions that you've given advice on, the first response is, that's a good question. And then they will go on to answer the question. But the modules really help. They really do make a big difference in preparing for an interview, how to negotiate certain things that you would need before accepting the position. So
I
it really
texted
made a
you
big
when you
difference.
accepted that position, and I texted you. I congratulated you, and I
Hmm.
texted you. Oh, did you negotiate your salary? And you're like,
Hmm.
yes, I got it from
Hmm.
your modules,
I
right? And you're like, I
did.
get this
I
much
did.
more, right? And
I
that was like,
did.
yes, all right,
Hmm. And
So just I want everyone to just notice this for a second. You transitioned from being an assistant teacher, you went to corporate, and you negotiated a higher salary. So you're going to definitely get more money than you were making as an assistant
oh yeah.
teacher, but then you negotiated a higher salary than that.
Hmm.
So I just
I
wanted
did.
to like reiterate that pause, so that
Hmm.
people would just realize that it is possible.
And I didn't even think, always knew, to do that when I worked in corporate. But like I said, being away from corporate and being a stay-at-home mom, sometimes that confidence is not really there to do that. But working with you gave me the confidence. Okay, let me review this module and see what Cindy says about this. And it gave me the confidence to come back and ask for that.
I'm so pleased. I'm so happy that you found a great job,
Thank
that you
you.
were able to make that pivot, that you were able to get out of, as I always say, right? We want different things at different stages
Right,
of our lives. And
right.
being an assistant teacher was perfect for you
It
when your
was.
children were younger.
Hmm.
But now it's your time. And I'm so proud of you and so
Thank you.
excited for that next chapter of your life. Thank you, Gwen, so much for joining me here today. It has been a privilege to talk to you. And I
Thank
wish
you.
you only the best at your job.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.